Hi, I'm Lucy and this is Luna. Welcome back to Country and Stables YouTube channel. And today we're going to be going through the fitting of a bridle and different nosebands. So we're going to start off with the headpiece. As you can see here, Luna's got an anatomical headpiece on. It has got padding either side, but there is no padding where the pole is. When you're putting on a headpiece, you do want to make sure there's adequate clearance behind the ears. This will come in later when we start talking about the noseband as well. You should have 2 fingers clearance behind the ears. This just makes sure that the horse can still move its ears correctly, and any of these sensitive nerves and muscles in this area aren't restricted. When you're fitting a headpiece, you should be able to fit 4 fingers comfortably under the headpiece between the pole and the headpiece. So now we're going to move on to the brow band. As you can see again, Luna's got a very basic straight brow band. Ideally, we would like an anatomical brow band, but this one gives enough clearance around the front of her head and around the sides because the headpiece fits so well. We're not too concerned about that. Again, it's not right up in the base of her ears. There's not a lot of bulk around her TMJ area, which is up around here. And it also doesn't pull the headpiece into the base of her ears. So we're happy with that. That fits really well. So we're onto the throat latch now. You should be able to fit 4 fingers straight in between the cheek and the throat latch. There's no restriction under here, which isn't going to restrict her airway. If it was up like this and tight, it would restrict her airway and her ability to swallow. It's got great clearance there. It's not too tight, but it is still doing its job of keeping the bridle in place. Moving on to the noseband, Luna has a very basic flat cavesson or hunter noseband. There's no padding, nothing's going to restrict or put any pressure anywhere. We want the buckle to be about level with her eye or just below. It needs to have a good amount of clearance all round, and you should be able to fit 2 fingers stacked on top at the front. Nosebands really shouldn't be too tight. If they are, then they do restrict the horse's ability to move their jaw, restrict their ability to swallow and breathe, and it's just not something we want. We also want to make sure that the noseband, as well as the buckles being where it is, that you can fit 2 fingers in between this bony facial notch and the noseband. That's where we know it sits fine. If it's too high, it will rub on this. It will cause rubs and sores. It will also interfere with the facial nerves that are in this area of the face. If it's too low, you can cause breakage of the nasal bone. If you feel where Luna's nostrils are, they're there. That's where they start. So it is up here, well out of the way of that. Anything below these, where her nostrils start, any pressure on here, especially if you're using something like a flash or a grackle, can cause breakage of this nasal bone here. Another thing to note with the noseband is when we say you're putting 2 fingers in between the horse and the noseband, you must do it at the front. Unfortunately, Luna's got quite a lovely beard, but you can see just how loose this is to be able to put the 2 fingers at the front. You really, really want a lot of clearance and a lot of movement. The nosebands is not something that you have to have. Nosebands like this really are just there to break up the face. They're not doing anything. There's no flash, there's no anything here, so the lack of pressure here is really, really important. Moving on to the cheek pieces now. Luna's cheek pieces are slightly long. Ideally, we'd like the buckle to be in line with the noseband buckle. If you've seen our other video on parts of the bridle, you'll hear me say about full bridles being sold with cheek pieces that are often too long. This is a perfect example of this. This is a pony size bridle, but those cheek pieces are just far, far too long for her head. We are on the search for some tiny pony cheek pieces because Luna does have a very small head, don't you? But this is just a really, really great example, which is why we've left it, to highlight the point that these cheek pieces that come with this bridle are just far too long. Apart from that, they're absolutely fine. They're billet cheek pieces. The bit is sat exactly where it needs to be. The bit fit is a video for another day because it's a little bit complicated. We're not worried about the 2 wrinkle rule. That's quite outdated now in terms of bit fitting. But we're very happy with how this fits, apart from the fact that these cheek pieces do just need to be slightly shorter. Where they are now, they're not causing too much hassle. They're not obstructing her vision. I'm not concerned about that. And they're also not pushing up on her sensitive areas around here, which can sometimes happen if the buckles are too high, which is what we're not what we're looking for. As I say, they are slightly long, but they're not doing any harm how they are, and we are aware of it and on the lookout for some shorter ones. We're here with Declan now. We've already done the bridle fit video, but we just wanted to use him to show you the fit of some of the different nosebands. Declan's wearing a flash noseband. It's essentially the same as a regular cavesson, but it has this extra attachment on here for the flash to go on. It does look quite wide on Declan, but this is because it's a new bridle and it's quite stiff. With time, this will soften up. As you can see, you've still got the 2 fingers below this bony protrusion here, and you can fit the 2 fingers on top of each other under here. Again, it's nice and loose around the back, same as the hunter noseband, but this time we have the flash attached. The flash is used to stop a horse opening their mouth. They're not, we don't want them so tight that they will restrict the breathing. Obviously, Dec's nostrils are here, all this squishy bit. It is, if you have these too tight, it is going to restrict his breathing and be very uncomfortable for him. Also, we don't want to clamp a horse's jaw shut. Horses are like us, they can't breathe and swallow at the same time. Usually when you see horses that have a lot of foam pouring out of their mouth, people think that is a sign of good work and that they're accepting the bit. Often it's the fact that they've got a flash or a drop noseband on, which we're not going to cover today, which is restricting them from being able to move their mouth to swallow. Going back to our earlier point when we were looking at the bridle on Luna, we were saying about the buckle placement of the cheek pieces, that they were too high. These ones are in a much better position, but again, with this bridle, we have swapped the cheek pieces out for shorter ones. This is a cob bridle with a pony cheek piece. The buckle is in a much more appealing position there for the horse, and isn't too high. It's not interfering with any of the nerves in this area or anything around here. It's not obstructing his view, and it's not too low. Lastly, Declan is sporting a very nice grackle noseband. These have been designed to prevent horses from crossing their jaws. They do fit slightly differently to the cavesson and the hunter noseband. These can sit quite comfortably on the little bony notch here, as long as they're not here, so they're rubbing, and they're not on the end, so they're slipping. You want them just a little bit above. There are different types of grackles, but we're just going to focus on this one for now. The little padded point needs to be on the front, resting on the front bony part of the nose. Again, you want to find where your horse's nostrils are. Make sure it's not any lower than where his nostrils start. Dec's nostrils start here, so it's just about in the right place. Ideally, it might like to go a little bit higher, but unfortunately, the fit of this isn't perfect for him. Essentially, the bottom part, or the flash component, again, doesn't need to be tight. We don't want it restricting any breathing on his soft little nostrils, or rubbing his cheek, or preventing him from being able to swallow or move his mouth. Obviously, these bridles that we're using today are brand new. They are quite stiff. It will relax. It will form to his face a little bit more and not stick out so far. We would always suggest that once you've bought your bridle and it fits and you're happy with it, you give it a really good oil to soften it all up and make it more comfortable for your horse. Thank you for watching our bridle fitting video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. And if you have any more questions, you can always comment below or talk to us on Facebook, Instagram, or through our website. Thank you.